Ready?
Good day, everybody. Are we getting started already, Neil?
Yeah, we're live.
All right, let's do this. So I got a little confused. Neil was chatting with me, and he said we were going to do a deep dive into water. So, I'm an avid scuba diver, so I got all my gear ready. I'm ready to do a deep dive, Neil. Did you get your scuba gear or no? Okay.
No.
It's ready. It's ready to go when you are. So we'll pull that out later if we need to. But let's get started here. Right. We're going to do a session. I think Neil's going to do a bit of housekeeping. I'll do some introductions, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We took a break for the summer. We're back. Super excited to be sitting here talking about our new PowerG Water Tile. If you haven't yet, please find the chat box, and drop in your name, where you're calling from. We'll give you a shout out if time allows, but we would love to know where everybody's calling from. We will be running some polls, so there's going to be 7 polls, and this is more information gathering for us. In addition, there are 2 handouts. So there is a tech tip handout. You can find that in the webinar box. The spec sheet on the water tile. So Gordy, I'm going to throw this to you to do your introduction stuff, and then we'll get the polls going, and then I guess we're going to talk about water.
All right. Well, let's simply talk about while we're here, we're going to talk about stopping leaks from becoming lakes. Really focusing in on our PowerG Plus water tile with freeze protection. My name's Gordon Hebb. If you're not familiar with me, I've been in the industry almost 30 years, and I absolutely love what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you here today and doing a deep dive, not quite with my scuba gear, but diving in with you all. I'll let Neil Jones introduce himself as well.
Well, everybody knows me. I've been on probably every webinar for the last couple of years. I run our technical strategic account group. I guess I'm Mr. Everything as it comes to webinar and technical over here at DSC and IQ.
That's excellent, Neil. And he's been been in the industry longer than me for sure. Well, maybe a little bit more for sure. All right, and we have a special guest here. We have Virgil Reed. A quick little introduction there, Virgil.
My name is Virgil Reed. My business is the Reed Security Authorized Dealer Program. I've been in the security industry for 27 years and 25 years as Reed Security.
Glad to have you here, Virgil. I'm looking forward to diving in and listening to your story and stuff as well as we get deeper into this presentation. But thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Neil, you want to do some polls first? Do you want me to dive in? How do you want the next steps?
We're going to run some polls, and just bear with me, folks. It's you take a couple months off from webinars, and all of a sudden you're like, which box do I click? So we're going to go. Again, we get 7 polls. It'll be pretty quick. We don't want to take up too much time there. We'll leave them running for about 30 seconds, 45 seconds each. So click fast. How's that? Here we go. First one. Pretty simple. Have you ever experienced a flood in your home or property?
That should be an easy one to answer.
Yeah, well, 2/3 so far, 2/3 have experienced a flood in their home or property. Yeah, it's climbing pretty steady there. We'll leave this just open for more seconds.
That's a question.
I wish we could share. I wish we could share the poll results so you could live so you could see it, but it just doesn't work that way. So 67%. Wow.
67% of the group. That's fantastic. Okay, so
now a complimentary question: have you ever experienced a burglary in your home or property?
This is not as common, surprisingly. Normally when I ask a live group, you see a lot of hands go up for water and not so much for burglary.
Yeah, it's pretty well the exact opposite. So 67% have not experienced a burglary.
Well, there we go.
What are the odds? All right. If you had, let me go. If you had flood damage, did you file an insurance claim? So it's a yes and no. I didn't have water damage coverage or not applicable. It's about a third. Nope. See, this is what I love about live polls. It's moving quick. So a quarter of the people did file an insurance claim. 8% didn't have water damage coverage. And then the rest are split between no and not applicable. 36% no and 31% not applicable. So interesting.
That tells the story for sure. And you said 8% no insurance. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, here we go. Have you ever experienced any of the following water-related events in your home or property? Check all that apply. Minor leaks, appliance-related water overflow, flooding from heavy rains or storms, sewer backups, basement floods, or a burst or frozen pipe. All right. 74% had a minor leak under a sink, or 82% had a minor leak under a sink or a toilet, 46% appliance-related, 34% from flooding, 31% from sewer backup or a basement flood. Well, that's crappy. And 20% with a burst or frozen pipe. I had to.
I knew you were going to say something like that, Neil. That's great. Well, it's not
at least
great.
I used the right.
Yeah.
At least I used the right words.
Yeah,
all right, there we go. Have you ever installed water leak sensors or an automatic water shutoff in your home or property? It's a yes for both. Only sensors, only a shutoff, or never. 51% of attendees have never installed a shutoff or a water detector.
Wow. Well, that's great. That means we have the right audience here, Neil. That's good news, because we're gonna talk about those things in great detail.
Yeah, 1% have only done a shutoff valve, 25% both, and 26% sensors only. So, wow, this is great. All right, 2 more. We'll make them quick. What motivated you or would motivate you to consider installing these water mitigation products? Previous water damage, insurance requirements or incentives, some peace of mind, home automation or smart home integration, or preventative maintenance. Please check all that apply.
It's amazing. You see, a lot of people beef up their security system after they've had an alarm or a burglary. Some people don't think about water that way. They've had an issue, they fix the issue, and they move on. But early detection is the key.
Yeah, so I mean, it's 54% would do it because of previous water damage, 46% for any kind of insurance requirement or incentive, 70% for peace of mind, which is awesome. And then 62 for home automation or smart home, and 55 for preventative maintenance. So, okay, let's close that puppy off, and last one.
One more.
Okay, so if you have not installed water protection or detection or protection products, what has prevented you from doing so?
It's a great question. Well, maybe they were just waiting for this session, Neil.
It's entirely possible. So 50%, not a priority right now.
Not a priority. Okay.
35% too expensive. 17% not sure if they work. Well, you're going to love the water tile. 16% difficult to install. You're going to love the water tile. And 8% didn't know they existed. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right, back to you, my friends.
All right, Neil. Well, thanks for that. That's great. I think I'm assuming my screen is being shared already, Neil. We're ready to roll.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at your screen. Yep. I'm just going to turn my camera off for a quick second. My coffee arrived, and I don't want to be doing all that.
No, I got you, Neil. I'm here for you. So I think myself and Neil already introduced ourselves. There's us on the screen. Let's look at the agenda. What are we going to be talking about here today? So, who we are, the market opportunity, focusing specifically on water, talking about our brand new PowerG Plus water tile. We're going to go through some tips and tricks. We're going to show you how we work together with you on the marketing side of things as well, what we can offer you to help. And then dive into some Q&As, you know, and you know, the whole, just dive into water, I guess. That's the thing, the theme of it, without your scuba gear. So looking at this is just one of my favorite slides because it shows you JCI security products on the intrusion side. You know, we have 6 very well-known legacy brands. You know, DSC, C24, Bentel Security, Visonic, IQ, and SureGuard. You know, all really amazing names in the industry. Bentel might not be well known here, but it's like DSC is in the European market. Visonic is where PowerG originated. SureGuard is the receivers in, I'd say, around 90% of the monitoring stations globally. C24 is our communication path for our communicators. And of course, you know and love DSC and IQ already. Anybody on the call that's not familiar with us, you know, on the intrusion side of things in North America, we focus on 3 brands: DSC, IQ, and PowerG. And now you'll notice the plus beside that, because we're going to dive into the advanced side of PowerG. I guess the next evolution of PowerG, called PowerG Plus. So what is DSC IQ? What do? We provide seamless protection using security panels, wireless devices, hybrid systems, takeover systems, and much more. You know, DSC has been around for 45 plus years. Since 2020, just to do some quick math, we've done 7 million intrusion systems, so 7 million panels. 35 million PowerG sensors are now in the field. You know, the amazing thing about our company, especially with the backing of JCI security products, is the fact that we have 6 design centers spread out over the world, all over the world, 500 engineers, 50 product managers, 150 individuals focused on supporting you, the dealers. That is divided out between our TAMs, our sales, and our marketing. You know, I can talk about this slide all day long, but I think we're going to dive into water. So let's talk about water and how DSC, IQ, and PowerG Plus brings that to you. I'll go through a few facts first. Big numbers, big numbers. 13 billion is the annual cost of water damage for clients and insurers. Just think about that. That's a huge number, but 37% of insurance claims are denied. Long, slow leaks, you know, stuff that people have not taken care of, slow leaks from ceilings, slow leaks from pipes, things like that. Or they don't have the proper insurance for water detection or water or sewer backup, things like that. So it's a pretty big number. 14,000 homes are affected daily by water damage. This tells me there's a massive opportunity for prevention, you know, education, making it sure it's top of mind. There's an opportunity if you're ever looking for one. Neil loves this, 27.6%, just to get specific. But the 0.6 matters because it pushed it into the 2nd most common home insurance claim. You know, the first being wind and hail, and the 3rd being fire and lightning. So water is above fire. I did not know that until I started doing a deep dive and doing some research on this. 17% of homeowners use water sensors. If I pause and think about that, I think, wow, there's an 83% opportunity available here. So everybody that you're going to see and everybody that you're providing security solutions for today, you have a huge opportunity to talk about water, dive into water mitigation with them. Ask them ask them a simple question. Have they ever had a water leak? Do they know anybody that's had water damage? Have they ever been involved with a flood? Items like that normally come up easier than burglary, in my opinion. 3.1 billion. That's what they estimate of market size is by 2033. So in just 8 years, the water market will double. That's a compound annual growth rate of 8.9% each year. So 8 years, phenomenal growth. If you're not in the water business, you should be in the water business, because we talked about opportunity. There's 83% opportunity because only 23% of people have leak detection. But think about this size of this market. Please make sure you get on board with it.
Okay, so Gordy, just so I can nip it in the butt now.
Yep.
So for everybody who's asking, we will, Serena, this will be an action for you. Serena's from our marketing team in the background. We're gonna provide, and maybe you can do it while we're on the webinar, Serena, and provide it as a handout. But these 5 slides or 6 slides, whatever it is for the numbers, we have a lot of people asking, right? Can we get a copy? Can we get a copy? So we should PDF those. Yeah, we should PDF those and drop them in the chat. And one other thing, Dan, you are totally going to learn about the new water sensors. We know you know how to sell them, but you know, not everybody is as good as you, Dan. So let's.
I like the specific call out there, Neil. And yes, I think providing this as well as the sources of this, just so you know, it's pretty easy to find with Google. But if you get all the sources and you really bring this out, this is factual information that's available to you. All right, we're going to jump into Virgil here. I would love for you to tell your story. I think, should I minimize this, Neil? Can I make it go full screen? Is that right? Stop sharing.
Yeah, if you stop sharing, we're all full screen.
We're all full screen. So, Virgil, I would, thank you for joining us. First of all, you're the CEO of Reed Security. I'm looking forward to hearing your story, and I'd love for you to just take it from here.
All right, how much time do I have?
Well, you know what? We'll cut you off if it's too long, or Neil will. I won't. So.
Have you never presented with Gordy before, Verse?
We're good.
Boy, did you picked the right guy to talk about what happens when you have a flood. If there during your poll was an option for who had 3 floods, I would say me. I did, and I did. I've had 3 floods at my home in the last 5 years. To give you some context, live in Saskatoon, central Canada, prairies. My house is in a new neighborhood. House was built in 2012, and that was a factor when I bought the house. It's new, so probably less maintenance and less risk. So first flood was about 4 years ago, and it was caused by an overflowing bathtub. We happened to be at home. We were the ones who caused the overflowing bathtub. So the first thing that goes through your mind is, oh crap, I wonder if the insurance company is going to cover that. And until you actually talk to the insurance company, you don't know. It's like, this is going to cost me a fortune. Thankfully, I had some really good insurance, and they responded pretty quickly. But it took a long time, I guess, by the time the restoration company was here and started taking stuff out of our house and tearing walls apart. We had an empty basement, empty main floor, stripped down to the studs. And that was probably for about 2 to 3 months. We had decided, well, maybe this is an opportunity because the insurance company was giving us good coverage. We should price out a bigger reno. And while we were pricing out that reno, we had our second flood.
Oh, wow.
So it was about a year later. Actually, it was 9 months later. And this time, one of our kids had left the water hose on outside, which caused a basement flood. And so again, oh no, like prior to this, we never had any claims on insurance, and now we're going to have 2 claims in 1 year. And so I'll fast forward the story. There was a third flood that occurred somewhere along the way. I didn't file a claim on this one. This was dishwasher related, and it was related to like components underneath the dishwasher. And when you're in the basement and looked up, you could see the water damage. And so I was lucky that I didn't have to file another claim. So the end result was $165,000 in claims.
Wow.
And that also meant moving out of our property for 3.5 months. So we stayed in an Airbnb for 3.5 months. And well, now I've got a beautiful house. But the next problem was your insurance premiums skyrocket. And so
Yeah, it's going to come back.
yeah, they doubled, and then they increased again. And then they said, you can't have flood damage coverage. There's none, which caused me to look around. I'd been with the same insurance company for 22 years. And, you know, I had to look around to see what was available. And I did switch to another provider as long as I had monitored flood protection. And so, of course, I have it now. Right?
Yeah, but even you being in the business, you know, not even thinking down that path after the third one and getting denied insurance. So
No, like I have DSC products and IQ panel in the house, and I've got all the fun stuff. I did have smoke detectors. I did have low temperature, but I always thought, well, what are the odds, right? And so firsthand, I can tell you what the odds are. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen is how I now look at the situation. And what that's translated into when I share this story, I share that with our sales team, I share that with our dealers, and now it's relatable. It's quite painful to go through the process. And I have nothing but good things to say about my insurance company, but just having to go through the process and having to go and do inventory of everything that you own that was impacted. And then, you know, some of it's challenged as to, you know, if it's covered or not. And so that's my story.
well, that's a deep story too. You know, just thinking about it, losing the insurance, having to have your premiums go up. You know, that's what's happening out there in the real world. Like leaks are happening, whether you leave your garden hose on or your tub, or you have a faulty appliance or a hot water tank that starts leaking. You know, it's happening everywhere, and we can be the ones to help with that, to communicate that message, to act earlier. So if you detect it earlier underneath your dishwasher, they probably wouldn't even have noticed. It would have been fixed a lot earlier than noticing the ceiling had water marks. So
You're right.
well, thanks, Virgil. That's a great story. I appreciate that. Am I on the right screen now, Neil? Yep. All right. So we'll keep going. Great story. Let's keep going. Where are we at here? All right. Well, we're all in the security business here, you know. But what is security? Like looking it up, just the security is the state of being safe and protected from danger, risk, or threat. The feeling of being free from fear or anxiety can also refer to something that provides safety, like a safeguard or a protective measure. Now, traditionally in my mind, I've been at this a long time. I spent time as a dealer, time in distribution, time with manufacturer, time with the associations. You know, we always looked at smoke detectors. Smoke detectors were that item that we always went to, or heat detectors. Carbon monoxide detectors, very common. You know, that now getting into the image sensors, like there's image sensors being used everywhere for that visual verification to give you that, you know, protection from danger, risk, or threat. And of course, temperature. You mentioned temperature, Virgil. You said you did temperature, you did heat, you did smoke in your own place, but not water. So temperature, high and lows, we're very focused on that. We're hyper focused on that. But today, we're going to dive into, actually, I wish we were diving into every single device of PowerG, because everybody knows I love PowerG. It is it's an item that just stands out for me. And now with PowerG Plus, it's the next generation. It's future-proof. It does so much more than just a regular wireless. Just the encryption levels, the dynamic range. The new PowerG Plus has battery level reporting, has battery pull tabs, has QR code learning, dealer lockdown. You can get the contacts in multiple different colors like white, black, and brown. It's taking it to the next level, and I'm excited to talk about it. But we're going to drive in and to look at our water tile, which is our brand new device. It's available on distributor shelves today, and you can learn a lot more about it here right now. That audio work, Neil?
No.
All right, let's figure that out here.
And while you're doing that, since you talked about the color options, people are asking when we will see the color options for the contacts. So we have pivoted slightly, and it's not a bad news story. The original plan was that we were going to offer the shells that you could just move, the electronics from one shell to a different shell from a color standpoint. After reviewing that and seeing the logistics behind it, we are going to release, and I don't want to give you a timeline yet, but I'd say in the next couple months, we will release the black and brown contacts for the PowerG Plus 9303 and the PowerG Plus 9945 will be released as black and brown and white. So you'll have the three options, and we'll make sure we announce them as soon as they're ready. You ready, Gordy? I'm tap dancing over here trying to cover for you.
No, I love it, but I don't see an audio option to actually stream my audio on there, Neil. I don't see that as an option. Is there something else I should do, or should I just talk through it?
Let's just talk through it. I'm trying to see what you're sharing your sound on my side.
Okay, I'll just go through this first video. Maybe. Here we go. So this is our PowerG Water Tile. It has freeze detection built in it. You can add external probes to it. It has extended range. It has better flood detection. Works in conjunction with our water valve. Obviously goes through our panel. It's brought through a whole solution, and you can then make a whole water mitigation solution. I'll just jump into this slide here. Actually, it's probably the easiest. Figure out audio there, Neil, or should I just talk through the rest of them moving forward?
Just talk through. I can't figure out why you're not able to.
Okay, that's all good. So let's talk about water tile here, everybody. That's why we're all here. It's a brand new PGP 9986, and I'll give you the part number at the end. PowerG Plus water tile. It has a built-in freeze detection. It obviously detects water. You can simply place it down by appliances throughout an area of a home or a business, and it will detect water if it touches it. We have three accessories really. The wall accessory that mounts it on a wall. So if you want to keep it stationary, lock it into a wall, it'll work perfectly there. You'll also have a probe, like a sensor probe that you can add. So that sensor probe can detect water, and it's pretty much the same thing as we used to have before with our 9985, and we still have today. But it also has the sensing if that cable gets unplugged. You'll have a tamper. If the actual tile itself gets unplugged from its new base, then you'll have a tamper as well. Probably the most exciting item is our sensing cable, our 6-foot water sensing cable. You'll see that in, I think Neil has it in his hand right now, but that is a 6-foot water sensing cable. Just the slightest drip touches that cable and it goes into alarm. So if you think about, well, if I look at my personal application, I have a sink, a dishwasher, and a refrigerator that has an ice machine and water going to it. So normally one of those things is going to leak sooner or later, right, Virgil? Eventually one of them will leak. But I can now, I used to have to put 3 sensors, one behind each one. Now I can take that 6-foot cable and stretch it behind all 3, and I'll be able to detect water on all 3 applications. Nice thing as well is we've added freeze detection. So what is freeze detection? It's basically a fixed temperature, so 41 degrees Fahrenheit and 5 degrees Celsius. So Celsius for Canada. If the temperature reaches that, so if the pipes are going to freeze in a home, for example, it gets to that temperature, this will send you an alert automatically. So not only are you preventing water leaks, but you're probably preventing the fact that you're going to get a water leak as well, because you're detecting whether your pipes are going to freeze or not. Here's a little illustration of that. It's this has no sound, so it's great. I don't need to listen to the sound and try to talk over it at the same time, Neil. So you probably got that. But hey, no, this is protection you will hardly notice. So it's easy to place down where the water leaks are. You've seen the poles there, Neil. They said a lot of it was underneath the sink. That was 83%, I think you said, or 80 some odd percent. That's it, placed underneath the sink. Simple, that's it. It's installed. You put it under the sink. There's all the accessories. You have that one video with the water dripping on top of it. That's wall mounted with the probe. And you also have the video with the actual water sensing cable. So you could coil that up and only stretch it 4 feet, for example, or you could go the whole 6 feet. Probably the most innovative application I've heard of with the water sensing cable was above those server rooms. So a lot of times you'll put 4 or 5 sensors on top of the ceiling tiles of server rooms. So if the ceiling or the HVAC unit or whatever on the roof starts leaking, on top of the ceiling tile, you'll detect the water before it gets into the server room. And that's when it gets really expensive. You can take that water sensing cable and loop it back and forth on top of that ceiling tile so it has a better detection area. Looking at just applications, we were sort of just having a conversation, trying to put ideas down to paper, and looking at the residential market, specifically multi-level units or MDUs. It's multi-level units. So if a leak happens on the 5th floor, you get it on the 2nd floor, you get it on the 3rd floor, 4th floor. It comes all the way down through normally, and that causes a lot more damage. You got tubs and showers. Well, Virgil brought up his fact that they left a tub on. Wouldn't it be nice to know that before it actually filled the rest of the hose full of water? You'd get early detection of that. Or a simple thing like aquariums. Like, there's some pretty nice aquariums I've been in people's homes where there's a lot of water, there's a lot of circulating pumps that are down on the ground, doing things like that. One little pinhole in one of those tubes, and all of a sudden that entire aquarium is on the water, on the ground. Sorry. And detecting that early is great. You got the dishwasher, you got the sump pump. The sump pump is a great application for that water sensing cable. So you could screw the water tile to the wall above the sump pump area, and then run that cable down in the sump pump hole just to the level where you want to detect it. So as soon as water touches that cable, boom, you're going to get a early detection of those sump pumps fail. Sometimes they don't turn on for 2 or 3 years and they become seized up. That's how a lot of floods happen, because people say, oh, I'm fine because I got the sump pump. Well, sometimes they don't turn on. So you need to test them regularly, and a lot of people do not. We look at commercial applications. Oh, they don't need water detection. They absolutely need water detection. Every one of them has a break room. They have bathrooms that we need detection in. I have an example of that. I had a hot water tank when I ran distribution for many years. We had it above one of the washrooms, and that hot water tank started leaking. Didn't notice it for a while, but all of a sudden we noticed that the ceiling tile above the ladies' washroom was changing color. So upon further inspection, we had to change that hot water tank. It would have been nice to detect that earlier. Rooftop HVAC, they freeze up sometimes. The drain pipes on them get clogged because maybe there's debris in them, like leaves or different things like that. So you'll get those to leak in as well. Here's a word that I'm not sure everybody will know, and there's only one reason that I know. Scupper drainage. I think I'm saying that right, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Neil. But scupper drainage. This happened to me. I was running a distribution center for many years. They had some renovations done on the unit next to me, where they put in a different loading dock. Well, that clogged the downspouts that I didn't know existed, which are called scupper drainage, in the walls in between our two units. So that became clogged, and I got the dreaded phone call at 7 a.m. in the morning that I needed to get in quickly because we had a foot of water in the showroom and in the warehouse because we had a huge rainfall, torrential downfall that night, and it flooded the branch. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. Not only that, they had to cut the gyprock, they had to, survey it for mold, it disrupted the business for months. There's a word I never thought I'd know, but now I do. All right,
I don't even know if you're pronouncing it right.
Well, see, there we go, Neil. I'm impressed that I have a word that stands out from the rest. Well, let's keep going here. Let's talk about water. I think this is you, Neil. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, I guess you need me for something. So this is a video for the pairing of the PowerG water sensor. It is literally this simple, just like any PowerG device. You'll notice first off in this video will loop. You'll notice the 4 arrows, okay? So the 4 arrows are where you're gonna put your screwdriver to open it, because again, this is an IP65 device, so it is water resistant. So we do have to ship the water tiles with their batteries upside down, because we can't use a pull tab. So this is the one PowerG Plus device we can't use a pull tab on because that would screw up the water, the seal of the gasket, right? So it's as literally as simple as putting in an auto learn, flipping the 2 batteries over. You'll close it, and then obviously it will then learn into the panel. You'll see it pop up. And the simple part of this is it is literally learning as the 2 devices. So as soon as you get into this mode and you're learning it in, you have a couple options there for you. Do you want to use the external tamper as an example? So if you're using the accessory pack, you can turn it on or off. But as soon as you add this sensor, and it will actually add as 2 sensors. So whatever you have added it as, we'll say just basement, we'll say basement. The second zone, which would be the freeze sensor, will learn as basement dash freeze. So it'll do it automatically. You can rename it if you want to, obviously. And then if you rename, once you rename it, you'll have to rename them individually. But learning in the one, it'll just name them, whatever you named your tile, and then it'll just add the words dash freeze at the end of it, right? So again, you're going to put your screwdriver in those, in between, we'll call it the feet, and just give it a little pry. It'll pop open, you put the batteries the right way, and you're up and running. We get a lot of questions of, it's hard to see, what a water tile size is. So I don't know if you're going to see this. So that's a standard Post-it note, right? So it's literally smaller than a standard Post-it note. Again, super thin. These tiles are amazing. It's funny. I was telling Gory earlier, in our jobs, we could order as much PowerG stuff as we want, like clearly. And I only had 2 PG9985s in my house. All right, one in by my water heater and one by my laundry, right? And similar to Virgil, I had a pretty bad flood a couple of years ago, and let's just say my insurance company was very happy that I had a water valve shut off because it probably saved them, probably 15 grand worth of damage. Still had 14 grand, and that was me turning it off within minutes, right? So, what's interesting is when I first got my first tiles. Why don't you pause this video, Gordy? I can hear it echoing in my head for some reason.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So what's interesting is, how easy this is to install. And I gotta stress how easy this is to install. So, I learned a bunch I used IQ Installer, I scanned the QR codes, they were all ready. Flipped my batteries over, they learned into my system, everything was great in the world. So I threw one under my dishwasher. All right. And then as I'm staring at my dishwasher, I'm looking at the sink next to it going, well, hold on. If that could leak, so could that. So then I'm like, okay, I'll put one under my sink. And then it turns into, well, if I put it under that sink, I guess I should put it under every sink. And now I have like 12 water tiles in my house or something. But it's one thing we've seen in talking to dealers who are already selling the water tile successfully is they're giving it to the customer and saying, where do you want it? Right. And then the customer starts getting into the same mode. They're like, oh, hold on. I need one here. I need one here. I need one here. And then all of a sudden, we're hearing 6, 7, 8, 10. It depends, on obviously on the size of the house. But we're seeing, huge adoption of it. And again, I've got them everywhere now. I've literally got them everywhere. It's, and we did put some smart stuff in here as well, right? So if there's a local sounder, so, say you're not right by your panel, and you're in your basement and you hear, there's a sounder built into the tile, you'll actually hear it sounding. If you somehow lose it, the cat maybe, grabbed it and was, playing with it and whatever, you can actually go into the PowerG test on the panel and sound the sounder. So you can actually find it, or you could flash the LED, right? So you can find it that way. But again, this is so simple. One of our dealers in Canada is using this as a retention offer, right? Because you can program this remotely, right? So go onto alarm.com, go into the remote toolkit, add the PowerG ID, ship it as is in its box. The customer gets it, flips it over, flips the batteries over. It's super simple. It networks. And there's those two sensors. You'd almost call it a self-install. It does come with double-sided tape. So if you do want to mount it to the floor, you can use double-sided tape for it. But it's not going to flow away in the water, as an example. And if it did, it would already be going off. So
yeah, we detect it for sure.
Yeah. Now Frank just dropped in. Frank's always so engaged in chat. Frank just dropped in the chat that he did the same thing, and a customer asked for 8 of them. Way to go, Frank.
That's the thing, Neil. You give that to the customer and say, put that where you think you're going to have your flood. Well, I don't know where I'm going to have a flood. Is it underneath my dishwasher? Is it underneath my sink? Is it, in my home, I have my washer and dryer on the second level of my home. So there's the spot I want it, because that's going to cause the most damage, But I also worry about my dishwasher and my refrigerator. So
yeah, we have a question. Do you have a bracket? So it is something we're talking about, is the bracket idea. Part of the sleekness of this, you obviously can't screw it in, otherwise you would mess up the water seal. But we are looking at some kind of rubber, I don't know, what are you going to call it? A rubber gasket that'll fit around it. So if you really wanted to mount it, to the floor and drill in the floor, etc. But again, using the accessory pack and the sensing cable or the probe, that accessory pack gets mounted to your baseboard or your wall or wherever you're mounting it. And then you can use that as an option too. But it's a great suggestion from Thomas about having some kind of bracket. So that's definitely something we'll look into.
Well, that's great. All right, well, let's look at testing.
Obviously, to test a water sensor is pretty easy. The water on it. But if you didn't want to and you didn't have water handy, it's literally take your screwdriver, short out the 2 probes on the very back of the unit, and it'll go into alarm. It's really that simple, right? And again, we've got all that troubleshooting stuff as far as sounding the sounder, flashing the LED if you needed to. All that's available as well. But again, that's the simplest method is literally water. Gordy mentioned the water cable. We want to stress it is very sensitive, right? So, again, we want to stop leaks from becoming lakes. but it's very sensitive. Right? When we first were demoing this at ISC this year, I think I dipped my finger in a glass of, like, dipped it in a glass of water and then touched the sensing cable, and it was an alarm within a second. It is very, very sensitive. So the one thing that we do want to caution is do not wrap the sensing cable around pipes, right? Because pipes will sweat and this will go off, right? It is literally meant as a water sensing device, and it works exactly like that. We did have a question: if you're using the accessory pack, does the freeze still work? 100%. It still works. And we have a ton of questions, and I was waiting for them, and I love them on every call. And I wish Travis was here. Does this work on Neo? Okay. So it does work on Neo as a water tile, right? You do not get the freeze. We are unable to, with the current Neo, and that's a bit of a tease, with the current Neo, it can only work as a water sensing device. And it will work with the accessory packs and everything else, but you just don't get the freeze. Stay tuned. There will be a webinar probably.
All right, next slide there, Neil.
Late fall, like probably early in the year. We are releasing a next generation Neo panel, and that's all I'll say. And that Neo panel will have native support for every PowerG device that we have. All of the things that we've released over the last couple of years, where we get the does it work on Neo question every time. Yes, that will be the answer, and rest assured, next year we will be very happy to be saying yes, it does work. So, but again, it does work as a water sensor on the current generation, the current Neo generation. So, and that's all I'm saying about it. So nobody in chat asked for more details. We're not giving it to you. But there is going to be a new Neo, and then there was a question
about so that's great.
Oh, it is. And then there was a question about IQ Pro. So there is a new release. So it will work as on the current IQ Pro firmware. It will work as a water sensor. The next release, which is not too far away, it'll then work in native, and you'll have freeze and water. So.
Well, thanks, Neil. That was great. That's good. Well, let's bring it all together now, and let's talk about the solution. So I believe everybody here will know our flagship panel, our IQ Panel 4. So I'm not going to dive in and spend too much time on this panel, but it's just a phenomenal panel, and we've done so well with it. It's bringing that one platform all into one. So this panel itself has 128 zones, 4 partitions, built-in 8-megapixel cameras. We're doing millions of these units out in the field, and it is working amazing. Just looking at the whole overall portfolio of IQ, looking at the nose screen. So this is that panel that you'll put somewhere where you don't need an actual keypad, where you want to use just the sounder or the chime from the unit. I've seen a lot of people successful in the water business only using our IQ nose screen. So they use that nose screen in a condo application, for example, and they can put 128 water sensors on that IQ4 nose screen. Bring that back. So the nice thing about our water tile, Neil mentioned this, is it has a sounder built into it. So if you're doing that many condos and you have no keypads in each condo and you have no way of enunciating that, of course you're letting the condo owner know, or the building management company know, that you have a leak in condo number 14. But the nose screen itself is strategically placed in the building to transmit that information back. But the sounder's going on the water tile. So the customers, they come into their unit and they're looking around, they can say, oh, I left the bathtub running. I'm going to go grab that tile and let the landlord know that we're fine. But there's an application for the nose screen. IQ4, just stripping down that IQ Panel 4 panel, going into the hub. We add video to that. So we remove the camera, remove the glass break, and just scale down the cost of that unit. So 3 panels available to you. The PowerG Plus lineup. So if we look at that entire lineup, it's just sleek, it's clean, it's nice looking. And I'm going to play a video next just to show you these devices all installed in an application that I think is very nice. But Neil brought up, hey, does that work on Neo? Does that work on Neo? Does that work on Neo? Well, yes, PowerG Plus works on Neo. PowerG Plus works on IQ4. It does work on these products, but on Neo specifically, it works in failback mode. So none of the bells and whistles like over-the-air updates, battery level reporting, the fun stuff that we added to IQ because we have so much more throughput on our PowerG communication platform on those panels. But you'll see the next evolution of Neo sooner or later. Door contacts, window contacts. Wish you could hear the music, it's really good. Image sensor, glass break. There's the water tile. Nice, sleek, thin window contact. Notice the magnets are the same size as the contact, so they don't sort of stand out when they're offset. Like we mentioned, you can get those in different colors soon as well. New motion detector. New repeater. Just the whole line. I'm excited to talk about PowerG Plus. Today, you can buy our heat detector, you can buy our image sensor, you can buy our water sensor, and within the next, I guess, few weeks, should I say, or a few months, or a couple months, I guess I should say, Neil, you can now buy the glass breaks, the door contacts, the motion detectors, the full PowerG Plus line.
That'll be in the next couple weeks. Everything is starting to ship to distribution. All of the PowerG Plus stuff is starting to ship to distribution this week.
That's great. I did see the NPI. I know that the distributors have the ability to place their purchase orders, and we have inventory. So it's exciting to see that all moving now, bringing that entire line. And there's more to come with PowerG Plus. The evolution is going to be phenomenal. Just looking at leaks in general and trying to bring it all together with a solution. You have a flood. We need to turn off that water. So we have a water valve that doesn't require a plumber. We have the water sensors that you can S-line flood, PowerG flood, and of course our PowerG Plus water tile. So lots of different options to detect the water. And of course, pairing that all together with alarm.com, it gives you that entire platform where you get the notification to the end user, the notification to the monitoring station. You get ahead of that leak so it doesn't become a lake. Looking at our, I think I got that right. Am I still there? Yeah. IQ water valve itself, no plumber needed. It provides the complete solution when you pair it with that IQ panel. So you detect water, you shut off the valve. It's a pretty simple concept. One nice thing as well, I have this installed at home, is the fact that it asks me through the alarm.com platform to test this. So I can, test it every 30 days to make sure that it shuts off the water and turns on the water. So it gives you that peace of mind.
I never get the alert from alarm.com, but that's because I'm testing my water valve, with sensors and everything all the time. So I never get to 30 days.
Yours is going crazy, with how much testing you're doing. Let's look at marketing though. Like, how can we work together? Like, your sales are our sales. We're all in this together. Our marketing is your marketing. So, we can help you with, lifestyle images, with videos that are co-branded, with web and email banners, end user brochures, all with your company logos on them, all free of charge. It's all a service that we offer to you. So if you want a video with your logo on it that shows a leak and some detection, why not get it from us? You don't need to produce it yourself. We're ready for you. In fact, we have a great video, has some great audio as well, but we have a great video right here. It's just, the illustration alone or the thumbnail of this leak really resonates. And then it goes through with, just a quick little under a minute video of damage and leaks and, the PowerG water tile itself, what it looks like, how clean it looks like when it's installed. Gives you real-time alerts. It has a sounder built into it. Gives you that whole thing. Imagine your company's logo on this, and call us today for water mitigation solutions. We love your feedback too. Dealers are saying, like what to summarize this, Neil, what would you say to summarize these what the dealers are saying? I know the great feedback, but technically, I love your side of it.
I mean, everybody loves it. Like, and it was, the funny for the Canadians. I mean, we'll make a joke here. Our friends in the U.S. wanted to call it a puck, a water puck, and it's, as we all, all of us Canadians know, a puck is round, not square. So that's why we came up with top. But everybody loves it. Again, we're hearing all these stories about putting it under kitchen sinks and bathroom sinks. People have, used other water-free sensors, challenge with rings, challenge with battery. So that, they're happily moving over to PowerG, where again, you're not worrying about battery, you're not worrying about the range of it. It's just less time consuming to install. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, I heard quite a bit. It's like it saved my technician 15 minutes per device. Like, so, looking at that timeline, it's phenomenal. They can basically place it underneath the sink rather than open up a package and wiring it in and screwing it to the wall. So that's great. I think I'm going to try to land this right on time here, Neil. So let's jump ahead here.
Well, I'm going to steal 1 second for you. We're getting a lot of questions in chat about extending the sensing cable. No. All right. So one of the challenges with extending the cable is anything after the first one is unsupervised, right? So as a dealer, or in my past life, I would never allow that because somebody unplugs it, doesn't realize, unplugs the second cable, we'll call it. It was too much of a risk. We just didn't want to take that chance. We know others do allow it, but I will encourage you to, try removing the second cable and see what happens, because nothing happens. It's the material, how water sensing cables work. It has to, we'll call it like a full loop, right? It has to be like this. Again, right? We will have a 12-foot option if you want, or 10-foot. I can't remember. 10-foot. So we are, it'll be, we'll call it a made-to-order product. If somebody wanted to order, we can make as many or as few as we want, but there will be a 6 and a 10-foot option.
All right, well, that's great. Okay, well, let's try to bring this all together. Like, if we look at water in general, there's really 3 ways. There's clean water damage, there's gray water damage, and the dreaded black water damage. If you want to look up facts online, it's amazing how much information is on this. And, that's right from Consumer Affairs. You look at their website, you can get this information and this image. But if you look at it, you're not only focusing on the hot water tank that normally rusts out within 12 years, or that dishwasher that I think they said the average was 8.7 years before a leak will happen. Now, I haven't experienced that in mine, but I know a lot of people that have. Or that you're looking at the material items where a customer has to replace their entire hardwood floors because they didn't check for an early leak and detect that. And then the dreaded black mold, where you have health concerns and in some cases death. Like, this is the highest level of what we're trying to protect people from. Early detection, slow leaks become black mold eventually if not taken care of, because normally they're not detected until months or years later, when all of a sudden you notice that a wall is turning black, for example. So black mold is a factor that a lot of people don't think about. It's the after effects of a flood or the after effects of a long-term leak.
I want to know how much soap they used in that picture of the dishwasher exploding. That is a lot of soap.
That's too much soap. Yeah, that's not enough soap. So I look at the water tile as being a solution that you can add anywhere. You can put this in a restaurant. You can put this in a coffee shop. In a large industrial building. I told you my story about the pipe that got clogged and flooded our entire branch. The normal residential applications, the multi-unit dwellings. So if floor number 4 has a leak, so does number 3, 2, 1, all the way down through. There's water applications everywhere. We're already doing work. I think it should be something that you should make normalize within your business. Everybody's going in a straight line is the way I look at things. And you know what? Why don't you do something different? You got so many ways that you can sell a door contact and a motion detector, door contact, temperature, smoke detection. Well, why don't you do something different? Why don't you starting with water? Have you ever had a flood? Have you ever had, do you have concerns about water leaks? We can help you with that as well. You know, the technicians say it takes less time to put a water sensor in than a lot of the other sensors, especially this tile. You have a happier customer that's stickier, that knows that you're protecting something other than for burglaries. You're detecting water or life safety devices 24/7. Adds revenue to your business. I think this is a no-brainer. What's the call to action here? We're getting close to the end here. Go out immediately and buy PGP 9986 from your favorite distributor. Utilize our team. We have 150 individuals that would love to educate your team. So we have local rep in every single area. They happily teach you technically as well as sales. You know, the team is phenomenal with that. Add water mitigation to every new quote. So do not make it something that you have to add. Make it normalized within your business. So every time you do a quote, you're going to add it. Reach out to your existing client base. You know, talk to them about it. You know, why wouldn't you? Maybe it gives your customer more value. Maybe somebody else is already reaching out to them to talk about water and only water. Now they don't realize that you can offer both. Neil talked about this, engaging older clients. So your old clients that might have an expired contract or you haven't talked to for a while, why not create a campaign within your business to reach out to them? Maybe you're going to get them to sign a new contract. Maybe you can add a little bit extra RMR, but maybe you can give them the peace of mind that you're also protecting them for water at the same time. Giving them value to being with you for that many years. Thank you for being a customer of ours for 10 years. By the way, would you be interested in water? Cut down your install time by 15 minutes. So if you're already installing water, that takes you a certain amount of time. What we've heard is these new tiles cut down that install by 15 minutes. That gives you more time with the client, more time to get to the next job, more time to give a better experience as a company. Increasing your attach rate. So this is how many devices you put on each panel. And it's not only about the attach rate, it's about that sticky client, that client that knows that you're protecting more than just burglary for them. You are doing 24-hour devices. You are detecting them for water. They have that comfort level. They feel so much better about you know, the fact that you're taking care of multiple things for them at once. Incentivize your team. Why wouldn't you make this something that you incentivize your team? Your technician could offer that at the last point of the install. Hey, by the way, I've noticed you have a dishwasher, an older dishwasher there. We do have a water tile available. And incent that activity. Incent that activity at the beginning of the sales. You could dive that into an extra $1 per month or an extra $5 per month for RMR. I'm not sure how you run your business, but there's answers here that'll give you those. You know, incentivizing your team, adding a few dollars on your RMR, you know, selling the device outright. There's lots of different ways. Put the water tiles in the hands of the customer. So Neil had mentioned this when he got one in his hand, he started going crazy and putting them everywhere. But that's not crazy. That's your mind is saying, I might have a leak here. I might have a leak here. I want to do water mitigation properly. We've found that the clients are having great success putting that water towel in the customer's hand and saying, put that where you think you're going to have a leak. And I have more if you need them. Talk about water mitigation every time, everywhere. We're in the security business. We talk about security all the time. Why don't we dive headfirst into water mitigation? This is the last two slides. We're going to do a giveaway. I know that they're going to do this at random. Neil, do you know how this works? A random generator or something? And then
yeah, we use a random generator for everybody who attended, and we will email anybody who wins after the webinar. Before Gordy keeps talking, I'm going to apologize for everybody. We went over 6 minutes. This is what happens when Gordy gets on a webinar. He's very passionate, clearly. So we do apologize for that.
I'm happy, Neil, that I didn't even have to put my scuba gear on here either. You know, I was prepared though. I was prepared. Let's stop sharing that screen. Everybody, you should have a water tile in your pocket every time you go to see a customer. I feel confident this is the right product for us. It's made on that new PowerG Plus technology. It works on our legacy panels. It works on the new panels, and it's phenomenal. Go out and get one. PGP 9986.
Sounds good. All right, Virgil, we very much appreciate you joining. Thanks for sharing your story. The check's in the mail, so to speak. Other than that, Gordy, you want anything to I didn't say what was on the check. It could be a penny. But there's a check in the mail. Other than that, you know, stay tuned. We're going to start this webinar series back up. We got a lot of cool stuff coming over the next, 6 to 12 months. And we'll be happy to start sharing that when it's ready to share. You know, like my camera's perfectly positioned that the next Neo is not visible in camera. Look at that. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Have a great week. And we were not able to add the stats stuff to the chat for anybody who's looking. We weren't able to add it as a handout, but Serena's all over it. Everybody who said they want the stats, she is going to email it to you. So other than that, stay tuned for upcoming webinars. Again, Virgil, thanks. Gordy, thanks. And I'm going to hit end before Gordy keeps talking.
We appreciate you all. Thank you for your partnership.